Floyd Money Mayweather. Floyd Money Mayweather. His nickname used to be Pretty Boy, but after a time, he took on the nickname Money. Money. Isn't it sad what he's going through now? Do I take joy in it? No. But his arrogance made me not feel so sorry for him. His arrogance when he thought he was on the top. The way he treated people, looked down on people, ridiculed people, made people feel like less. I didn't like it. And I'm a big boxing fan. And I could admire what he did in the ring up to a point, because in boxing, that's a whole different story. There's a few things I've seen that I can tell you he's not the super great champion that he claims to be. But that's neither here nor there. See, for me, I saw the pride for many years, and I didn't wish for his downfall. But with that much bad karma put out there, I can tell you that he signed that check. And that's a check that doesn't bounce when you get it from karma. There are few people in modern sports who have become as closely connected with wealth as Floyd Mayweather. For years, his name wasn't only connected to boxing championships and undefeated records. It became connected to private jets, luxury watches, expensive cars, designer clothing, exotic vacations, mansions, jewelry, and a lifestyle that many people believe represented the ultimate level of financial success. Really, his nickname became synonymous with money itself, and millions of people admired what appeared to be a life that had no financial limits. But we found out different. Throughout his boxing career, Floyd Mayweather built one of the most profitable brands in sports history. He earned enormous purses for some of the biggest fights ever promoted, and reportedly generated hundreds of millions of dollars from pay-per-view events. Many financial publications have estimated that his earnings approached $1 billion before taxes, expenses, and business costs were taken into account. Whether the exact number reached $1 billion or fell somewhat below it, there's little argument that he earned more money than most people could ever imagine making in several lifetimes. Money has a strange way of creating an illusion. When someone appears wealthy, many people automatically assume they're financially secure or financially literate. Remember, this man couldn't read. They believe large income automatically equals long-term financial stability. But those are two completely different things. But we were blinded by that. Earning money and keeping money aren't the same skill. Making money and managing money aren't the same discipline. Wealth without wisdom can disappear much faster than it was earned. How many times are we going to see examples of this? That's why recent headlines involving Floyd Mayweather have attracted so much attention. The conversation isn't centered on whether he once earned extraordinary amounts of money. That's already well documented. But the shock is now. The real question being asked today revolves around financial responsibility, legal disputes, taxes, and whether even the wealthiest individuals can find themselves facing serious financial pressure. How's the saying go? More money, more problems? There's a lesson here that reaches far beyond one famous athlete, because this is a universal principle. Every person, regardless of income, should understand that financial literacy isn't something reserved for accountants or investment professionals. It's a life skill. And without it, even tremendous success can slowly become overshadowed by obligations that eventually demand payment. Floyd Mayweather's boxing career placed him among the greatest defensive fighters the sport has ever seen. I beg to differ. I pretty much like Pernell Whitaker when it comes to defense, but that's a different argument. Rest in peace, Pernell. His undefeated professional record became one of the biggest selling points, and his ability to promote fights often became just as valuable as his talent inside the ring. Every major event seemed to generate enormous attention. Yes, it did, leading to record-breaking revenues that benefited both promoters and Mayweather himself. And there was a formula he used, and we'll talk about that later. Kind of a surefire, and why he took on that persona, see? But unlike many athletes who depended primarily on salaries, Mayweather positioned himself to receive large percentages of the revenue generated by his fights. Ticket sales, sponsorships, pay-per-view purchases, merchandise, and promotional agreements combined to create earnings that most professional athletes never experience. His business approach helped transform boxing into a personal financial empire. His public image reinforced the idea of unlimited wealth. Social media regularly featured stacks of cash, expensive jewelry, luxury automobiles, private aircrafts, and lavish purchases. Many people viewed these displays as proof that financial success had no ceiling. Others questioned whether such public displays encouraged unhealthy attitudes about money. Regardless of opinion, his image became inseparable from extravagant spending. Over roughly the last 2 years, the headlines have shifted away from championship belts toward financial and legal matters. Trouble in paradise. Public records showed that the Internal Revenue Service filed a federal tax lien against Mayweather for approximately $7.3 million, involving unpaid federal taxes connected to the 2018 and 2023 tax years. A tax lien doesn't automatically mean someone is bankrupt, nor does it erase everything they own. It does, however, represent a serious financial obligation that the federal government is seeking to collect. Another public legal matter involves criminal charges filed in Nevada related to the alleged purchase of a luxury watch using a $200,000 check that prosecutors claim was drawn on insufficient funds. Mayweather has denied any intent to defraud through his attorney, and those allegations remain before the court. As with any pending legal matter, allegations alone shouldn't be mistaken for guilt. But that sounds like him. A $200,000 luxury watch. What is it? Sprout wings and take you anywhere in the world? $200,000. That's his choice, but that's his karma. I mean, if he did this allegedly, right? They say allegedly. He's also been involved in business-related contract disputes connected to exhibition boxing events. This is crazy. One sports promotion company filed suit alleging breach of contract. Although a judge allowed one scheduled exhibition event to proceed, the larger legal dispute continues through the court system. Reports have also discussed various civil financial disagreements involving unpaid business obligations in disputes with companies that provided goods and services. Civil lawsuits are common in the business world, and their existence alone doesn't prove wrongdoing. They simply represent legal disagreements that the courts are responsible for resolving. But too much of a pattern out of nowhere. And you're supposed to have all of this money? And you're walking around with bodyguards? Well, I don't see them anymore. You're walking around with bags of cash and getting on social media? Look, let me shut up for now on that. One of the biggest misconceptions in society is believing that a high income automatically creates lasting wealth. That's simply not true. A person can earn millions of dollars every year while spending even more. Another person can earn a modest income, live below their means, invest wisely, avoid unnecessary debt, and quietly build financial security that lasts for generations. I've seen it done. Income tells you what comes in. Wealth tells you what's left after years of responsible decisions. Financial literacy becomes the bridge between earning and keeping. It's understanding taxes before they become a crisis. It's knowing that investments carry risk. It's recognizing that expensive lifestyles often come with expensive maintenance. It's preparing for years when income slows down instead of assuming the money will never stop flowing. Many professional athletes, entertainers, and celebrities experience enormous incomes during relatively short careers. What does that tell you? Their earning years often last only a fraction of a normal working lifetime. If those earnings aren't protected through disciplined financial planning, the transition after peak income can become far more difficult than many people realize. Let me just say, you see these stars, so-called stars. You see them on TV, you see them on YouTube, you see them when they're at their peak. You see them 20, 30 years ago when they were riding high, looking good. You think they're living like that so many decades or so many years after, if they're not performing and producing? See, we think it's like that all the time. We assume money is not a problem for these people when you see the production around them, because they're making money for other people also. So it's an illusion. That's why it's called entertainment. And sports is also a form of entertainment. That's why this story shouldn't be viewed as entertainment or celebrity gossip. It's really about financial education, because it can happen to any one of us. Those of us who have much less, we mismanage, we'll be in a sorry state of affairs. Most people listening to this will never earn hundreds of millions of dollars. Most won't own private jets or fleets of luxury cars. But everyone listening to this makes financial decisions every single day. Every paycheck creates a choice between spending and saving. Every purchase creates either progress or pressure. Pride can become one of the most expensive financial habits anyone develops. See, pride convinces people to buy things they don't need in order to impress people who often don't even give a damn about them. Pride tells people to appear rich instead of becoming financially secure. Pride encourages image while wisdom builds stability. None of us knows the full details of another person's finances, and we shouldn't pretend that we do. Public records only tell part of a financial story, but public facts can still teach private lessons. Financial literacy isn't about how much money you make. It's about how wisely you manage whatever comes into your hands. That's a principle that applies equally to someone earning $30,000 a year and someone earning hundreds of millions. It doesn't matter. Truth is truth, and the principles are principles. See, you can have a man who earns millions, and he has millions of dollars in debt. You can have a man who makes $600-700 a week, and he saves a lot of that. because he's wise and disciplined and living below his means. And he sleeps better than that millionaire who has all of these lawsuits, all of the people trying to come around him to use him for money, which you can have that on any level. But to be wise and disciplined is the bottom line. But at the end of the day, money doesn't judge anyone. It simply reveals habits over time. Large incomes may delay consequences, but they rarely eliminate them. Bills eventually become due. Taxes eventually become payable. Contracts eventually require fulfillment. The numbers never stop counting. Know what you're getting yourself into. It's easy to admire success when everything appears perfect. It's much harder to study the warning signs that success sometimes and oftentimes hides. That's why financial literacy deserves just as much attention as ambition. One creates opportunity while the other protects it. Maybe the greatest lesson isn't about one athlete at all. It's about every one of us. See, we all have choices to make about how we earn, how we spend, how we save, how we invest, and how we prepare for tomorrow. Those decisions shape our future far more than the size of any paycheck. Because money comes and goes. Fame rises and falls. Public opinion changes with every news cycle. But wisdom has a way of surviving every season of life. That's why financial discipline remains valuable long after the applause fades. Pride may convince someone they're untouchable, but reality eventually reminds us that no one is. That's why the greatest investment we'll ever make isn't in luxury possessions. It's in the knowledge that protects everything we've worked so hard to build. And this is why I wonder to myself, I've thought this, and I don't know if you've ever thought this, but it seems that when we have the most braggadocious people in our midst, with money, with possessions, with status, with wanting to show you they have this and wanting to show you they have that, and they want to run around and say, oh, I have money, and they want to prove to you something. When they're trying to prove something to you so hard, it makes me wonder, and it made me wonder, what is the root of this? So there are people that I've known personally who, while they never went out as bad as Floyd Mayweather as far as trying to show you how much they have, like, I realize that those people who try to show you how wealthy they are, or really how rich, because these people never get wealthy, they may get rich for a season, but they came from situations where they were extremely poor. Now, I'm not saying everyone who was extremely poor who came into money gets like this. You have many people who have learned lots of lessons by coming up the hard way. But there's certain, let me just get to the point. There's certain black people out here, and it's not all black people, and it's not that it's not other people of other races, but you got some poor black N-words. I'm not gonna say it, right? But you got some poor black N-words out here who, that's what they think it's all about. And they got this hole in their heart from growing up poor, and now they're trying to prove to the world that they have something, but their self-worth is non-existent. You can't feel good about yourself if you're taking what you've earned and running around to show people what you have because you're insecure and you feel less than, and you feel that draping yourself in luxury cars, fleets of them, private jets, all this property. Look, make investments. And see, here's the funny one. He would go around and say, well, you know, I made good investments. I made good business moves. You know, the money never stops flowing. I'll never have to work a day in my life. You know, I'm blessed. You know, maybe you're not blessed if you don't have it like me, but I made wise investments. I got good people around me, so my money can grow. I'm better off now than I ever. This is what he does. He goes on automatic. So one of his business partners was responsible for taking millions of dollars from him, right? But he just came from this meeting. I don't know if he was in Israel or in America, but he was pledging his love and his allegiance to the Jewish people. You have a friend in me. Whatever you need, I got your back. Basically, that's what he was saying. But see, he recently went on also to speak about how the black community is praying for his downfall. Well, nobody asked you to give money to the black community. There is no office of the black community, and you can donate it at this address, and black people in the black community will all receive money from you. Nobody's asking for a handout. But you couldn't speak in support of us from your platform, and you want to say that you're better than Muhammad Ali because you never lost a fight. Shut up. Listen, you had those weight limitations. You aged out certain opponents. You waited for them to get a little older. You played the system. I mean, okay, you were financially shrewd that way because every year on Cinco de Mayo, which is early May, that Mexican holiday, you made sure to have a fight against a Mexican opponent. See? So of course, now you're talking bad, you're bragging. They're gonna want to see you lose. They're gonna want to see their man win. So of course you're gonna make millions of dollars off of that, right? But it doesn't make you smart. It doesn't make you wise. Because remember, you did have people around you who may not be under your business umbrella, but they're making money for themselves. You made a lot of money for people that have money, now you don't, relatively. Does he have $100,000? Maybe he does. But that's not enough to sustain what he was putting out. You walking around with bags of money. Do you see these people, let's just say in other races, not that they're perfect, but do you see Indian wealthy businessmen walking around with bags of money and bodyguards? They'll pass you by in the street and you won't even know who they are. A person who's looking to rob somebody wouldn't even think to rob them because they're not looking to put on luxury watches and expensive shoes and suits and chains. What's wrong with black people? And then they want to go tell you, or he wants to tell you, and people like him, oh, I bought this designer suit for this amount of money, and I bought this, and this cost that, and my shoes cost $800 or $800,000. Or so what? What are you fighting against? You're showing the world how insecure you are. But if people think like you, they're going to be impressed and want to outdo you and want to hate on you. It's sad. It's sorry that a grown man can get to a certain point of success, yet I feel his upbringing is haunting him. From when, look, it can happen to anybody. His mother was on crack. His father introduced him to boxing from single-digit ages, but he ended up in prison. And his father fought Sugar Ray Leonard back in the late 70s, Floyd Mayweather Sr., look it up. And he knew a little bit about boxing. And Roger Mayweather, his brother, the other brother, also, they come from a boxing family. So if you grew up in that environment from young and you were taught things, you had a head start. That's not to say he's not good, because he knows it in and out how to fight. Okay, his style may not be something that people want to see because they say, oh, he's boring, he doesn't slug it out. Well, one thing, he protected his health. Okay, but all I'm saying is that that's one aspect of it all. But like I said, I have a bone to pick with him because he said he was greater than Muhammad Ali because Muhammad Ali had losses on his record. Yeah, because Muhammad Ali fought everybody. He didn't wait. I miss those days of boxing where, you know, you had a champion who may have lost his championship and he went on to fight several times for the rest of the year. Fought maybe sometimes softer opponents, but fought all the hard ones, fought all the contenders. Looking back on all weight divisions, but especially heavyweight, since he brought up Muhammad Ali, I mean, Muhammad Ali fought everybody. He didn't duck anybody. And he had the best 3.5 years of his career taken away behind his refusal to be drafted into the Vietnam War. He stood for something. What do you stand for, Mayweather? When you're running behind these people who suck the blood of the black community and you want to offer your support to them. You think if you tap dance for them, they're not going to steal from you? I mean, at the end of the day, I don't really take to Floyd Mayweather's character. I don't trust him, and I don't take to his character. And when you can knock those who came before you, look down on people who may not have as much. And I believe he's done false charitable situations with turkeys on Thanksgiving or superficial things, but you know, he made sure that all of the press was there to capture his goodwill. But what really have you done when you know the struggle, when you know how hard it is? What have you done? Nobody's asking for a penny in the past from you, Floyd, but you could have used your influence to motivate people, to put people in a better position because of who you are and your influence. But yet you want to knock a man like Muhammad Ali and say he wasn't as good as you when he stood for something, when he spoke out on issues using his platform that made him oftentimes unpopular. Could you imagine back in the 60s, the mid-60s, him speaking the way that he did? Would Floyd Mayweather do something like that? No. He's running to the very people to kiss their behind and tell them that they have his full support. Oh, how cute. So, again, I'm not taking pleasure in anybody's downfall, but there's a lesson for us all to learn on how we are supposed to deal with our finances. Understand that the checks that come from karma never bounce. They are always paid in full. And whatever you earned with karma, symbolically, we're talking about the balance of the universe. I'm not talking about any strange, exotic, or weird religion. I'm just talking about what's right, justice, and how to keep yourself on the right side of it. You got to do people right. You have to throw off the proper imagery. Because how many people were Floyd Mayweather responsible for breaking their spirit? You know, how he has a way of rubbing it in their face that, you know, this is what I have. And, I don't like people like that. There are times I've had money, not like that, of course, but a lot more. And at times when things were lean. But my character has always remained consistent. And my view of the world has always remained consistent. Because number one, I am not into the material things that I can now use this to block up the holes of self-esteem and the lack of feeling like I'm worthy, because I never had those feelings. And see, on a further note, I'll say it this way. There are people that I've met and they had a good amount of money and they had a problem with me because they saw that the voids that they possessed wasn't something that I possessed. And they could talk about their trips and their cars and this, and I would sit there and smile with them. Oh, that's very nice. Wow. Wow, that could have been exciting. Wow. And they're looking at me like, if I was this joker, I would be sitting there stewing in my juices, mad and jealous at what I'm throwing out. And they get mad at the fact that you may have less, but you're not impressed by it. A good conversation, speaking on principles that elevate, or just human nature in how we can grow, what we can learn from, lessons. Because we're not going to take any of that stuff with us. And I do believe that in the afterlife or the next level or the transition, whatever you want to call it, I do believe that the wisdom that we have comes with us. That elevation that we have on this level, we're not going to go to being another being on the next level empty. Just like people say, you see that child over there? That child been here before. That child ain't dumb. Look at that child. Look at their eyes. They notice everything going on. Yes, that's the way it is. And some children, and I don't mean to throw off on children, but they grow up to be adults. And some adults, no matter what the chronological age, they grow up to be fools. Floyd Mayweather, how do you feel when you fought opponents that are filthy rich now that you defeated? Look at Canelo Alvarez, right? He just fought Terrence Bud Crawford and lost. Man, that man has so much money. Floyd Mayweather beat him, I think it was 2013, 2014? Beat him easily. But Canelo Alvarez, although he's not perfect with his getting busted for steroids every now and then, he did the right thing by his family and his people, and they love him. Why couldn't we have had that with you, Floyd? But you thumbed your nose at us about how much money you had. How much is too much? It's not for me to say. But when your attitude isn't right with the people you came up with and how you did your father publicly when you were in that gym, I think it was an HBO special, and these people, they ate it up. They love to see dysfunction in a black family. And he was arguing with his father, and I think he eventually demanded him to leave his gym and said, "You're nothing but a cab driver. That's all you did. You were the one who were locked up." I mean, he exposed all his dirty laundry, even though we most of us knew his past. But the way a son can talk to a father in public with the cameras rolling, much to the delight of the people that don't like you anyway. And you did this. That, I could never do that. I don't care what your father has done for a living. I don't care what your father may have made a mistake in, as long as it's not violating babies, things along those lines, or, RAPE, stuff like that. Because that's your start. You were taken care of. Maybe you didn't have the best childhood in the world, but you're here. You don't know a man's story, and especially if it's your father, you don't know the whole story. And the father still came back to be a great trainer and make money and everything. And now you all are getting along a little better. Well, is it because you're being humbled right now? And your father didn't reject you after you treated him that way. It's amazing. It's amazing. We've got a lot to learn, and like I said in the beginning, I know a lot of us who grew up poor without learning the lessons on how to handle our money and how to handle it when it comes to how we relate to other people, that now we have money and we're better than other people. I can't get down like that. Because no matter what you have, and no matter what you think you have, you can get knocked down very quick. And as you see on this visual, I don't wish this on him, but this is probably how he feels right now with all that he has lost, because you can't pay your bills now and you brag about it. What happened to the money deals that you made and the wise investments that you made, right? Keep your mouth shut. Work on yourself, build yourself. I'm talking to everybody now. Who cares what you have in your pocket? Do what you need to do. Sometimes when times are rough, you got to tighten that belt. But if you have a goal, you work toward it. If all you have is 3 pennies and can save 1, do that. Pay your bills. Have peace of mind. Don't worry about what the next man has, because the next man really doesn't care about you and what you have. When you're trying to brag to them about your status and how many jets and how you can go here and go there, and you don't have to work and all of this stuff, right? But when you draw your last breath in this life, Can your money save you? Can your status save you? Can your fame save you? Every second is precious. Every second that ticks by, we're moving closer to that point of transition where we won't be here anymore. So all of these arrogant people, how do you feel about that? And are you going to pack up your possessions and take it with you? This is a journey. This is an experience. And this really is a pit stop on the journey into eternity. Because if you live 78 years, 98 years, 102, 115, that can't compare as the years roll by when you're not here. You will be more, and I'm going to say it this way, I do believe we go on to another level depending on what we earned here. But at some point, you will be more dead than you are alive on this level. Now, from this side, we can say dead. From the other side, there should be something else. And what will be waiting for you when all that you did was make people feel bad, don't pay people what they earned in your businesses, and take advantage of people? Huh? You're not going to get away. So maybe it's good that you're getting it now. Maybe it'll soften the blow when that judgment time comes. And maybe you can turn it around and be a lesson to the world. Humble yourself. And right now, pretty much, that's just about all you can do. Because if you don't do it willingly, the situations around you, publicly, it's happening already. You have no choice. Much love to you all. Thank you for coming through. I hope you enjoyed this. On to the next one. LanceScurv out. Peace.